Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I am Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
Pretty good. I should have said I am Neo. And you are
Trinity?
Morpheus I was going to go for, but you know what? I'll take Trinity if you want. She was pretty deadly on a motorbike.
True.
Folks, in case you don't get the reference, it's Matrix time again. After 20 odd years nearly. We've got some Matrix action coming back. Matrix 4, as we're all going to call it, because it's really called Matrix Resurrections, which continues the sequel with an R, since it was Matrix,
Yes.
Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions,
Yeah.
and now Matrix Resurrection. And I think there were some games and other interim things that also had R, like Matrix recaps. I don't know what the hell they were. Anyway, the Matrix R thing continues, but it's basically Neo 4. So Keanu Reeves is back, ladies and gentlemen. Or is John Wick back, Paul? There's a little bit of an overlap in how Keanu's looking. They could have done with a bit of a heavy restyling, considering the beard and long hair for Neo is very much the John Wick look of late.
Yeah, it's on point, and I guess, because Neo in the trailer, because we'll go into it a little bit. Because are we gonna show the trailer and kind of break it down ourselves?
Well, I figure rather than playing the trailer for people, we can skip to timeline moments. Now I will bring it up, and I will jump to a view of Keanu
Okay.
in his
Yeah.
in all his glory. Whoops! I'll blow out some people's ears there.
Yeah, he seems kind of disheveled and stuff. So that's an interesting kind of way to be. So it's a little bit like ooh,
There's no harm in him. You know, I'm not saying Keanu's a gorgeous dude. He's a lovely looking gent. But it was weird. It was weird at the first watch of the trailer. I was like, how many people are not going to remember The Matrix well enough and have seen 3 John Wick films in the meantime that just a different haircut or a different beard arrangement would have separated him nicely from the John Wick that everybody has in their mind. Like if he runs through the rain in a suit with that beard hair combo, somebody in the audience is going to go, so John Wick's in The Matrix?
well, it kind of is, you know.
And actually,
Neo
Brew just
is
said it looks
absolutely-
like John Wick's in The Matrix. Hey, Brew, by the way. Hey, everybody, welcome. What are we talking about tonight? Everybody's worked it out. We're talking about Matrix 4. Who are we talking to? Anybody who wants to listen, but particularly you live folks. If you have theories or thoughts on this Matrix trailer, get them in the comments. As Brew's asking, is his dog in The Matrix? Well, we can only hope that all good dogs go to The Matrix in the end. Because
they go to the big matrix in the farm.
the great big matrix in the cloud. And Irish says, I'm so glad you said the point. That's a kind of need to shave, yeah, because he looks like John Wick with superpowers. I like it, John Wick with superpowers. Although John Wick on his own is a pretty superpowered dude. But Paul, get me back on Matrix topic here. I'm sorry for my Wick side road.
Yeah, so quickly, which is this trailer was released today at 2 p.m. Ireland time, which would be 5 hours or ahead in the Americas, which would probably be about 8 o'clock.
First thing in the
9
morning
o'clock
for
kind of area.
our friends in the States. Lunchtime for us.
Yeah, so which is pretty cool, which is there's a lot to break down with this because like they're bringing back a trilogy series, which kind of had an open end. Like it did have an open end at the end of the third film, but it also like fairly also like left you kind of like I'm happy with this ending, you know, kind of in the sense of you know that the Matrix went in that direction of Christ analogies.
Well, let's talk about those original movies, Paul, because I think
Okay.
the one that we'll end up talking about most is The Matrix, the first movie, because it was the best movie by any measurable sense of the word. But it is part of a trilogy that people have various feelings about. I myself feel that it was a downward slope of quality, particularly, and we spoke about this before. Particularly as far as focus goes. I think the Wachowskis lost their way by being given a little too much freedom. I think the story lost all focus, and because it was that Christ analogy, as you point out, it became more epic than it needed to be in its grandiosity, because The Matrix, as a first movie, was pretty groundbreaking and epic in an Inception like tight shell. It was very, very good at being what it was. It was real groundbreaking stuff. People don't remember. There were times in movie history, before the Jazz Singer, before there were talkies. There was time before color. There was time before, Jaws and Star Wars and blockbusters. But there was also a time before The Matrix. Like, there are a few films along the way that have changed everything. I would say that, maybe Terminator 2 a few years earlier had changed a few things as far as how people viewed special effects in action in the cinema. But I think The Matrix, it really wrapped a lot of things up in one and changed the game. It was a huge blockbuster. It was special effects driven in a new way, very new way. But also it was brave sci-fi storytelling without going to space or using any conventional prior kind of sci-fi tropes, let's say. So it broke boundaries and ground in every different direction. And I think it would be much more fondly remembered today had there not been any sequels.
I would agree, but I'm also like their success was also their downfall in the sense that it was so popular, it was so good that of course the studio was going to be like, yeah, complete the story. And the Wachowski brothers, for all we know, or now the Wachowskis, which are like may not have had a trilogy in mind for the Matrix originally. And this is kind of the downfall of the, scrambling to get everything done. Yeah. Or trying to write two movies kind of thing.
There are many, many stories that have started off well, and then when they found success, they were teased out a little bit too long or didn't know where to go. Looking at you, Lost, J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof, and friends. I've thrown up something on screen, just some of the original effects. Because what we're talking about today is the Matrix 4 trailer. So obviously we're going to be talking about what we think will happen with the Matrix. But one of the things that we have to remember about the very first Matrix is the trailer, even before the movie, it let you know you were about to see something visually new. There was wonderful soundtracking for the time, but the visuals. You had bullet time, you had the freeze frame wire work kind of Trinity kick, which I've got on screen, which just like it changed the game. It was one of those things of whoa, new, something really, really new in its execution and style. And I think I pulled out a couple of others here. So you've got agents dodging. You had Smith taking people over, that whole effect. You had a lot of liquid effects, which I know we'd seen in The Abyss and Terminator 2. But like the helicopter hitting the building, rippling in and then exploding out. And even Neo heading into a mirror and being kind of subsumed by it and all the rest. It was a visual masterpiece as far as special effects go. Like, Jurassic Park's impressive. The Matrix doesn't get enough credit for being as impressive as Jurassic Park because we hadn't seen a lot of this stuff before.
I think it gets to a point where I think every now and again we get to a point of kind of cinema graphic upgrades or trying new things for the sake of new things and stuff. And The Matrix was one of those keystone moments, which is, this is what CGI can do, and this is how it kind of changes the game.
Yep.
And a lot of the camera work as well, because they set up the like the 360 kind of camera rigs to take photos, so they could do the whole spin thing. Interesting fact also, the Matrix trailer does not give you anything really about the first couple Matrix trailers does not give you much about what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is a masterpiece in trailers, because we don't, like, when I watched it first, I had no idea that it was to involve a virtual reality, kind of thing, which is fantastic for me, because that's literally the by the way, you're joining Neo now in the rabbit hole kind of thing, which is another part that I also bring up.
Exactly, it kept the mystery alive, and I see in the comments here, Brew and Irish are both calling out It is a modern classic. I'm glad you agree. Bruce says the second film disappointed because it didn't bother with the third. You know what? If you were ever going to go back and rewatch The Matrix, I'd watch the other two. I still would watch them. It is a downward slide. It doesn't mean there isn't some good stuff in there. There's an awful lot of effort trying to recapture these groundbreaking big scenes, and some of it works, but because the story around it's not as good, you don't feel it in the same way. And when I say feel it, I mean you're not blown out of your seat. Bruce commented, a friend of mine from a small town came to watch it on a big screen. He hadn't been in the cinema for a few years. Didn't speak for 2 hours after. But I'll bet you one thing he did say as soon as he was done. And Paul, I remember going to the cinema and seeing this movie. I wanted a Nokia with the flip. I wanted it so bad. And that was, when I found out that wasn't a special effect and that we could own that and hold it in our hands, I was like, my God, how cool. I don't need the glasses or the 3/4 length leather. If I just have the phone where I hit a button and it goes, I'm hooked straight into the Matrix. Never got one. Still considering buying one today just to have on the shelf and flick it out every now and again.
Yeah, it'd be a piece of which is cinematic history as well.
Yeah,
so
that'd be quite the film prop to have. So yeah, and Irish, you saw it, and I love that you commented. Went to it, didn't have a clue what you were seeing. Back in the day, when you went to a theater and just picked a movie on its name, I miss those days too. We're oversaturated, which Paul should bring me back round to talking about today's trailer.
This is the thing is we need to lay a foundation of kind of like this is what the Matrix meant, and this is kind of where they're kind of playing with a lot of the stuff. So to spoiler a little bit of the trilogy, which goes Neo is Thomas Anderson is an unknown person who doesn't know about the Matrix in any kind of way. Morpheus comes in, changes his whole world with the red and blue pill. Insanity ensues. He eventually becomes Jesus and dies. His love also does die. We do see that part, kind of thing. So here we are in Matrix 4 Resurrection moments, and which is a good opening, because they have quick flashes of
and I'm letting the trailer play while you talk, Paul, because I think you're basically covering it right.
Yeah, like the first kind of couple of seconds is literally just flashes, and it seems as if it's memories, possible memories, and also our first look of the new iteration of the Matrix today, kind of thing, and also some callbacks to the old Matrix, which is the Black Cat and stuff like this. Now, I want to stop immediately on Neil Patrick Harris's character, who is a psychologist, which goes who is helping Thomas Anderson, which goes I don't know. Come to terms with his memories and dreams and stuff like that of a world that doesn't exist and a world that does exist. Now, this is the interesting thing. My first theory here is, obviously, Thomas Anderson doesn't have any memory of being Neo, which is, I think that Neil Patrick Harris's character is a program.
I think everything's a program.
He's not a human.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's an Anderson, so to speak. He is a pre-designated program. I don't think he's an avatar to keep somebody who's a human battery placated. Is that the right way to put it? Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think he probably is. He's an analytical algorithm checking on the well-being and keeping things in line.
I think he's specifically designed to keep Thomas Anderson thinking that he's Thomas Anderson and also he's an early warning system in maybe the reemergence of Neo the One kind of thing, that's
have you noticed the blue glasses? Like anywhere there's a red pill, blue pill hint, you can see they'll lean heavily into it.
Yeah, like this is the thing. It's like it seems like the red blue pill are huge big factors within this movie, which is one of my theories, which will come up later on, kind of thing. Do you want to go a little bit further into the?
Well, let's keep walking into the trailer. So after Neil Patrick Harris is on screen, kind of obviously counseling Neo or Mr. Anderson, we know we're in San Francisco. We know Keanu's not feeling great. He's having a soak in a bath. But then we get the cool moment where he meets Carrie-Anne Moss again. He meets Trinity. And I'm so glad she's back. We're going to see in a moment that Lawrence Fishburne isn't back. That's something I can actually live with based on the character. You can't live without Carrie-Anne Moss being Carrie-Anne Moss. Carrie-Anne Moss. Carrie-On Moss? That was a very bad Carrie-On film. Carrie-On Moss. Carrie-Anne Moss being Trinity, because they were, for the Neo story, it wasn't just she was a love interest. They were integral to their entire journey for each other. And she was unbelievably cool. Like, unbelievably cool in the, you know, the dodge this moment gun camera shot where she's like, you know, bullet to head of one of the agents. At that moment, I was like, the coolest person. Yeah, the dodge this. Coolest person in this movie will never be Neo. After that moment, it was like, she's the coolest person in anything they do in The Matrix now. And it still stands for me. Really glad to see her back. Also, really glad to see that they're doing a whole, does she remember him? Does he remember her? And they're being clever enough with their trailer making to intimate that maybe he has remembered her at this point, or is aware, or maybe he's not. Maybe it's all just still confusion. They're not giving it away, thankfully.
Yeah, like I definitely do think that there's some kind of recognition between the two characters, and we also do see some Matrix code on her cheek in one of the scenes
later in the trailer.
Yeah, which makes me think that there's a possibility of her being a copy of her personality, either from Neo or just from her time within the Matrix itself, kind of thing.
Quite
So that's an interesting point, kind of thing. An interesting point about the pill, kind of thing, which I know I'm behind, sadly.
No, it's all right. I'm actually. I think we should cover some pills. In fact, and I'm gonna skip to some imagery for the old and new on that pills. So go for it.
An interesting fact about the pill. The red pill or the blue pill is Flexion, which is a name for it's a name for some kind of metaphysics, kind of like thought experiment or something like that. I don't know. Like, look it up, kind of thing. It's an interesting kind of like tidbit towards the.
Paul did more research than I did. I saw red pill and blue pill and was like, okay, you've been checking the ingredients.
Yeah. I've been looking a little bit deeper into it because, as I said, one of my later theories is based specifically on the pills, kind of thing. So yeah, it seems like Neo Thomas Anderson has been dosed with essentially these blue pills, which, as we know, wipes the memory and makes you believe that everything was a dream.
Keeps you in the Matrix.
Keeps you docile, keep you in the Matrix. Which is, and then on the shot that we have now is Yahya
Abdul Mateen.
Yeah, the second. There's
recently in Candyman, I believe.
Yes, he's also in some of the horror films like Us and.
Yeah. He's had a heck of a couple of years, actually. Great to see him. I'm happy. I haven't seen the latest Candyman. Thinking about it. But
I am too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's getting good reviews for that. Now, what I've got on screen now, just for your benefit, and I don't know if it's refreshed around, is the old movie where Lawrence Fishburne's got his little glasses with no ear bits, because, you know, cool people can hold everything only with the bridge of their nose. But you can see there he's offering Neo the red pill, blue pill choice. Obviously, this is going to be the Morpheus character again. But it's Morpheus, not Lawrence Fishburne. Also younger, while Neo is still older. So there's something there that, you know, in the end of the previous movies, Lawrence Fishburne and Jada Pinkett, they were all still happily alive, and they'd seen their savior do the thing, and they were going to go off and lead humanity in what was left of the remains and the rubble outside of the Matrix in the real world. I'm hoping that this, because it's in the Matrix, that he is not a representation of that physical Lawrence Fishburne, not actually Morpheus, but is, like you just mentioned with Carrie-Anne Moss's character, is a copy or a port in, or some sort of reconstruction, or some sort of organic recreation of a Morpheus character that exists.
Yeah, I have so many theories about this.
Go for it.
I don't know if I should. Okay, so this is my theory about which goes Yaya's character. It is, the fact is that he is the new Matrix's iterational version of Morpheus. So he's not Morpheus; he's just playing the role of the seeker, the believer in the one kind of thing. Because he is everything about it. He seems very much because remember how Morpheus was so familiar with Neo, although he wasn't actually familiar with Thomas Anderson, really.
Right.
Kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So inside the
And
Matrix, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, like as in like, but it was even kind of like he was just like, you're better than this. You can do better. You can, you don't even need to breathe air within the Matrix. You're able to do as much, anything that you could possibly think of. Pushing Neo to be the one in the sense of, and this element of familiarity was there because as Morpheus has been hunting for Neo for so long that there seems to be a element of familiarity there because he's been thinking about him for so long. I think this is the same thing. I think Yaya's character is essentially a new iteration of the Morpheus character, as in the seeker and the believer. Just before we started filming or started recording, streaming, this is how excited I am about this. There were 7 iterations of the Matrix. The first 2 were betas and didn't involve the one. Those ones crashed and were destroyed because they were either too perfect, kind of thing, or just they were too simple or too perfect. And then the new iteration came in with the kind of yin and yang, which is the architect and the oracle, essentially to help kind of cause chaos and stuff. Now there's been 6 iterations of the one, Neo being the 6th one. I think this is what the 7th cycle, essentially. I don't think machines can go out of the cycle anymore, kind of thing. And I think Neo is screwing it up. It's like he's really kind of fucking it up in the sense that his consciousness may have left his body, or the machine should just plug him back into the Matrix and just try to keep him there.
Right.
And there's a possibility that there's now 2 ones within the Matrix, as in Neo is the old version, and there's possibly a new version within the Matrix.
Okay.
And Yaya's character has misinterpreted the fact that Neo / Thomas Anderson is the one that he is searching for, and it's going to cause some problems down the road in the sense that another one is going to possibly be controlled by the machines. And this is because this is the whole opposite thing. As in the red pill and the blue pill is a big thing with it.
Interesting. And you know what, folks, we're going to try and have a bit of fun with our guessing game on this one. Paul, that's as good a guess as any. It is probably a hell of a lot closer than what I'm going to be coming up with, because where I'm coming from on this is the way things ended. Again, spoiler for those of you who haven't watched all 3, but essentially the ending of the trilogy was Neo's dead, Trinity's dead, Morpheus and all of the real world freedom fighters, let's say, are alive, and there's a bit of humanity is going to go on. But back inside the Matrix, our good old Will Ferrell lookalike, the architect, and the Oracle have a wee chat to end the whole series. And their chat is, okay, so what about the people who are still in here? What about all the human batteries that are in the Matrix? Are they going to get a chance? If they want to leave, can they leave? And the architect, who represents the machines, goes, yeah, of course. I promise. I'm not a human. I'm not going to back out of this. So he's saying anybody that wants to go can go. We'll deal with the loss of power somehow. But similarly, it's implied anybody who wants to stay can stay in that symbiotic relationship with us, that there are human batteries. We'll keep giving them the Matrix if they're happy in that life. And that's why that whole red pill, blue pill thing, I think, is such a big feature in this. I think, similar to you, but where I diverge is, I think he is going to be misguided, the Morpheus character this time round. Because I actually think the humans and the machines are going to be allied together, essentially, trying to keep either this truce or stalemate or scenario going. and it's inbuilt in the programming, as you say, for there to be a seeker, to find a one, to want to destroy it and want to bring it down. Because that's the thing about revolution. It happened. Everybody got some of what they wanted. There was compromise. Nobody completely won outright because the machines weren't completely destroyed and the humans weren't completely subjugated. I think they might go for a whole... We haven't found a way to give the whole world a choice, clearly, between red pill and blue pill, let's say, just for the sake of in the Matrix, or do you want to get out and walk around in the dirt and try and rebuild an actual planet where you die and things are even more horrible. And I think that's where the Morpheus character doesn't have to be Lawrence Fishburne this time. I think you're right. He's going to play the Morpheus character by design. But I think that's where the divergence will be. He won't be picking a savior that then believes things need to be saved. I think the twist is going to be that savior is actually... Neo has plugged himself back in, or Thomas Anderson has plugged himself back in to try and maintain a truce or maintain a world for humanity outside the Matrix and machines and humanity inside the Matrix. So I think it could get very, very complicated and play on a lot of social themes of these days that we now live in, of how people of opposing views can live together and how everybody has to give up ground for the Matrix and the real world to keep existing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, let's all learn the lesson of let's all disagree but still get along. I think that's where it might go, and I think he will be pivotal. I'm with you. So I really like your idea that he could be looking for a one, but have found the wrong one. And there might be two ones, as you put it. This is getting way too mathematical.
Yeah, I know. It seems that, yeah, because I know that a lot of people are saying that, you know, Neo is dead and stuff like that. He died in the last one and stuff. But we've seen him do things that he, you know...
He mightn't even be physically Thomas Anderson anymore. It might it might be another human who has the traits of the Thomas Anderson Neo, and they've just happened to be reskinning him as John Wick.
That could be it, or literally Thomas Anderson has escaped his physical form before it died at the end, and this is the only way that he's kind of he needs to cobble together his memories, because he's essentially a spirit without a soul or without a body, kind of thing. And it's like he's a rogue program within the system now that's a human but not a human, and it's kind of like the system doesn't know how to handle him in the sense. So they
pulled him from cash. They pulled him from cash, and they're making a program out of what was a person.
Yeah, so like Neil Patrick Harris's character is either a failsafe device, and they're kind of trying to keep him sane so that he doesn't revert back to Neo and have the ability to destroy the Matrix. Because we've seen in the trailer he has extended his abilities considerably when he does eventually take the red pill from this scene.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Actually, speaking of which, sorry, go on. You first.
Just because there's several mirrored moments within the trailer of the first film, kind of thing. So I think
that's exactly where I was about to go, and I think let's check the comments out before pulling up some of those callbacks. Irish saying first DVD, and it was a great DVD to show the technology to your dad to get a DVD player. Yeah, it's a heck of a demo reel, isn't it? Bruce says it's such a phenomenon. People would go around saying must be a glitch in the Matrix. It really did become part of just pop culture and then culture at large. Color grading was throwing me off, but then I realized this could be the new Matrix, which is where, Paul, you're coming from with the next iteration.
Yeah.
Which gives so much freedom, but will the fans not like the changes? Fans can be tricky. I recently had a conversation about the Star Trek reboot, the J.J. Abrams, where they were going to use the original series crew again, so it was going back to Kirk time, and they used a time split to kind of go, we'll protect everything you already know, it's sitting over here because we're going off in a new branch. I thought that was great in that respect, insofar as it avoided them ever destroying anything that's existed before that everybody liked. So everything they did, no matter how good or bad it went, it was all in a new spur, alternate timeline stuff. Yet I was talking to somebody who was like, no, I can't stand it ever since then. Why did they have to do that? And I'm like, well, I thought you'd be happy they protected your stuff. I think the Matrix could have that problem now too if they do try doing any of the things we've discussed, or even trying a new iteration saying, look, everything that happened before still happened. This is not necessarily directly affecting what's happened. This is now the next new stuff away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will balk at that, I'd say. But personally, I really hope it's the way they go.
Yeah. Like I think there's some good. You could find that this is an amalgamation of a few ideas that we were coming up with,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Because like I know there's a lot of videos out there breaking this down in the sense that like Neo and Trinity are possibly hijacking other people's bodies, which is a possibility. My theory is that they are just Trinity is possibly the memory of from the memory of Neo, or Neo's memory of Trinity, and essentially, but because he doesn't remember her, she doesn't remember in a sense, kind of thing. So like they are now essentially two programs within the system, kind of thing. There's also a possibility that Neo didn't die and has as part of the treaty, because he is quite powerful now in the physical world as well as in the Matrix, as one of the scenes where he literally just detonates the entire like city, what is it, City Zero's like defense systems, like bombs by himself.
Yeah, I always apportion that to Neo has Wi-Fi now. So Neo was doing things from inside. It was one of those directions that they took in the later film, in the last film in particular. I was like, oh, we're giving him powers in too many different places now. His corporeal form should really just always be squishy and not as messianic as he became in the end. But yeah, that's another
memories, unless he is given the choice, kind of thing. As in,
everybody out there may have lost us there for a second, because I got a massive alert on screen saying OBS disconnected. So Paul, in the next 30 seconds, hopefully you'll be able to see. If anybody can still hear us, type in and tap in.
I think we're okay.
Okay, yeah, we may have had a drop, so sorry if there was a shudder. Paul, to finish out in the comments real quick before throwing some other good stuff up, I'm gonna hit it really quickly. Irish's 4 skins now available in the Matrix. Get them now. Yeah, I think that's gonna work the other way around. That's yeah. But Brew says, never pander to fans, challenge fans. That is an absolute brilliant t-shirt. Never pander to fans, challenge them. And I think if we're lucky, that's what we're going to get. It was just a glitch in the Matrix. Oh, damn it. Why didn't I think of that when things... So for me, it all went wrong on my screen, but for you, it was all fine.
It was deja vu.
If you... and thank you all for confirming. If I was to call out some of the stuff, and we'll go back to playing the trailer, but one of the things I want to call out is that dojo scene. We've got the old dojo scene, the original, one of the I Know Kung Fu's. It's where the Neo and Morpheus characters really do their bonding, and it's where he first gets Neo to really start believing in himself, not just that the Matrix, you get the staging room and you've got all the rest where guns are flying by him. He's seeing some pretty spectacular things, but it's not until he starts making things happen and downloading Kung Fu and then realizing he can do it. That was pivotal stuff in the original movie. I think similarly, this scene in the trailer is going to be the big awakener. I think, just hinting from what the trailer's hinting at, but I don't know if it's actually going to be in the same direction this time. I think it might be the big awakener where Morpheus finds out that it's Neo who knows what he's talking about this time, and I really like that. Now I could be wrong, but that's the way the trailer made me feel, and I was like, ooh, that'd be great.
Yeah, like that's, I think, it could be an awakening in the sense that maybe because he may have been told or maybe believed that the one doesn't know who they are and stuff like that, and doesn't know that their powers and stuff, and then you have Neo essentially blowing the doors off the dojo, literally, and which goes, it might shock Yaya's character in the sense of, oh, this is a lot more knowledgeable one character than I originally had thought.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Also, the two characters there, just as we well, I'll let this play first.
No, no, I'm playing match on what you're saying.
Okay. Because yeah, what is it? Jessica Henwick plays the girl with the blue hair, I think. Um, her and the Morpheus character, her and Yaya are seem to have color differences in the sense that she has blue hair and may align with the fact is that not all humans are able to handle the fact that the Matrix exists, and the like Yaya's character might be the sense in he is trying to free everybody by finding the one and destroying the Matrix kind of thing, like following the original kind of program in
Yeah.
the sense of the iterations and stuff like that. Now there's so many things that I need to I want to the
You
Alice in
keep saying
Wonderland.
I'll keep trying to pull up stuff to match what you're saying.
So the Alice in Wonderland reference with the woman in the coffee shop, that could be a reference to the Oracle and all that she was I cannot in any way pronounce her name. Praryaka Chopra?
Is this the original actress who played the Oracle?
No,
Oh,
I'm butchering her name in every sense of the way.
oh, okay.
She's possibly a new iteration of the Oracle
Oh, I
because
get
we've
you.
seen
I
that
get you.
before. And the Alice in Wonderland book on the counter is possibly a reference to Morpheus's.
Well, he
Uh,
was very much alluding to that further down the rabbit hole. He was, it was a heavy theme, and it's a great theme in the trailer. We're not playing the music to try and not get demonetized, but yeah, White Rabbit is playing quite brilliantly for this trailer. Best use of a great trailer song. This may be the best use of that trailer song yet. It fits so sweetly.
yeah, so this is a reference possibly that the Oracle and the Architect possibly are aware of his exist or like are aware that Neo is locked within the system. Because don't forget, we've also had the fact that Neo's consciousness has been away from his body before, and also that Miss Smith also transferred his consciousness into a body. So there's a lot of kind of like body switching kind of crap that could possibly go on.
Sure, uploady and downloady and copy and swappy.
Um,
You mentioned Jessica Henwick a minute ago. I wanted to pull that up just before we move away from her. I think she's awesome as an actress. For all of those of you that couldn't sit through Iron Fist, I understand why. But Iron Fist, the Netflix TV show that was the weakest, or at least tied second weakest, of the kind of the Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, who am I forgetting? Luke Cage, the street level hero stuff that Netflix did so well a few years ago. Iron Fist was let down by its main actor, and that was not Jessica Henwick. She was absolutely phenomenal in it. She's been great in a lot of things, in fact. Even Game of Thrones people, she had a short but memorable stint in there. She got killed off way too quick. I am a big fan of her getting more work. I'm also a big fan of the idea that if they're going to do more Matrix movies, which they may well try, this may not be a fourth, this may be a start of the next iteration of the Matrix. I would love it to see an actress like her get a chance to have it hang off her kind of very capable shoulders.
yeah, no, I entirely agree about that kind of thing. Like she's quite a she's a very good actress, and she needs to have more exposure and stuff like that. And I think this is going to be great in the sense of it's going to be a good physical and strong character. And I mean physically and mentally strong in the sense of her beliefs within the Matrix.
She could be the one
Kind
number
of
two,
things.
or the second
That
number one.
is
And
that is also a theory that I had, was the fact is that she is actually the one that Yaya's character is actually searching for, but he finds Neo instead.
because they're really setting her up to be the analog for Trinity. But I don't think it'll be that simple, and I hope not, because I'd love to see if they are going to go further, taking a character, a young, brilliant actress like her, and giving her, right, you've now got your Keanu Reeves period ahead of you. You're going to get 3 or 4 movies to make something new out of all this.
Yeah. Like the mirror thing is also really cool because it's a callback to some of the older kind of way shortcuts within the Matrix, and possibly mirrors are now one of the new ones,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Also, what else is there kind of
Well,
going on?
they've got, so after the dojo, and I've just paused it on the. You've still got the machines, and you've still got people plugged in, generating their BTUs and their gigawatts of heat and power and energy and light. So it's still going on. But it's one of those things that I think a lot of people go, but at the end of the Matrix, we're not all humans freed. Very much no. That's the one key thing. That's why it's worth going back and having a Matrix sequel. I think there's definitely enough ground to say, well, people are still plugged into a Matrix of some sort. Because machines are still getting fed, and they're still getting fed by power, and that power is still coming from us humans. But it's a more interesting question of, well, isn't that okay if that's what those humans want? Because not everybody wants the red pill. Some people want the blue pill.
Well,
And that was very clearly outlined in the first movie.
yeah, Cipher. Yeah, the perfect analogy of ignorance is bliss kind of thing, as in he has lived without outside the Matrix and has lived in essentially a apocalyptic world where he is constantly hunted by machines. Whereas he could be put back into the Matrix, forget everything, and live a happy, ignorant life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as the architect and Oracle says, that not all everybody's going to be ready and like able to be unplugged. And Morpheus also said that in the first one, which is said like not many people are actually ready for the Matrix to be unplugged. So this is where my Jonathan Groff character comes in.
Yes, which I will find. So you keep talking. I know who you're talking about.
Jonathan Groff seems to be a human that is aware of the Matrix, and this is my second theory, that there is a subgroup, not a subgroup of, there's a group of programs within the Matrix, knowing the fact that if the Matrix is terminated because of humans will want to be leaving us and stuff like that, that they will no longer be needed and stop, existing, kind of thing. Which is what happened to Smith in the original ones. He realized that he was outdated and knew exactly what he was meant to do, which was to return back to the source and to get decommissioned and then so whatever. But he decided that he wanted to live.
We're looking at our Smith. That's what I think we're looking at there. Even if it's not Smith himself, if it's not directly an Agent Smith, I think that character that you're talking about, the one that's on screen now, he's your modern Agent Smith. He's the one, like as you say, wants the Matrix to exist and continue for their own needs, but also has that megalomaniacal line of code where they want more power and more gravity and more scope of influence across said Matrix. And I think rather than having the CIA like Agent Smith, you're going to have this guy. And I think just because nobody's going to miss a chance on doing a bit of modern storytelling on modern times, I think you're going to be looking at Wall Street, big business, something along those lines. Yeah.
So here's definitely where we join, and also, so I think he's human. I think he's aware of the Matrix. I think he's made a deal with the machines, to be essentially their spokesperson, essentially to other humans. I think he owns the company that is mass producing the blue pill.
Right. Okay. So you think? Oh, okay. So we agree, but we differ on one thing. You think he's actually a plug-in on the far side of the reality wall. I'm thinking he's going to be the Smith style program. But yeah, either way, it's going to work. And the funny thing is, it's not in this, but it was in the teaser. So in the trailer, you don't see that at some point in a conversation for this guy, his mouth starts joining up and closing up, a la what Smith did to Neo when he was interrogating him in the very first Matrix. So yeah, I'm really excited and really interested because we're missing a Hugo Weaving. He's not coming back. He will be missed, but it makes a lot of sense that he wouldn't come back because of how he was dispatched, let's say, or deleted, or derezzed, or whatever era of TV, computer / movie trope you want to use. So you can't have Hugo Weaving coming back, but you do have to have somebody who's equally creepy, equally powerful, equally Machiavellian, and almost as equally omnipresent This guy will only work for me if he has genuine sway and is able to really do what Smith's great evil was. He was always there. He was relentless. He was the shark from Jaws. He was just outside the boat all the bloody time. No matter what they were doing, it's like, oh, there's Agent Smith again. Every time you heard Mr. Anderson, you're like, this is going to be a big fight scene now, because you don't get to run away from that guy. He's too big a pain in the arse. And you don't get to beat him either, unless it's the third movie, in which case, at some point he's got to get beaten tonight before this one's over.
In an interesting one as well, in an interesting way. But yeah, I think he's human. I think he's made a deal with the machines in the sense that he'll be their kind of like spokesperson in getting people on board for the blue pill kind of thing, and keeping people within the matrix kind of thing. Like I'm guessing that it's not going to be overly kind of evil. It's going to be, well, no, that's going to be. He's mass producing a drug in which people forget the fact that they might not be in the real reality. But I think, yeah, because there is a person, Jonathan, not Jonathan. Let me just look up my notes. Daniel Bernhardt is Agent Johnson, which is only one of the only named characters properly within the film. There's possibly he's not in. There's not a. I don't think there's an actual scene of him. I think there is a scene of an agent.
There is an agent scene here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's that one. I think he's a named agent in the sense that he might be the kind of Smith relentless character in the sense that he's helping Jonathan Groff's character trying to keep control kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I also think that the agent's original programming is essentially to keep it status quo of the Matrix, kind of thing. Like they're not overly malicious in the sense that it's literally just like the police can't handle this because these are people who have knowledge of the Matrix. So this is where we come in, essentially the bouncers, or the antivirus software, kind of thing. So
Agent
I don't know
McAfee.
Yeah, kind of thing. So I don't know if they're overly. That's the thing, is Smith became overly malicious against particularly Neo, which is like, so like it's it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, can we? Because thank God we have viewers for loads of reasons, but also they kind of keep us on time, because somebody's brought up something that we had on the docket to talk about before we end the show, and we're heading towards our last 10 minutes. I cannot believe, of all the things we talked about it last week or the week before, that it's ridiculous that Dune is going to be day and date release on theaters and HBO Max, same time, same day. That was crazy. Still is crazy. Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune, is annoyed about it. I think he's every right to be. I think fans of that series have every right to be annoyed that it's not going to get a proper run like it needs to get. Like Shang-Chi recently got an actual run before being on Disney Plus. This one bothers me more because, and not because of the type of film it is, it's because it's so close to the end of the year. They could have pushed this one out by a few weeks and technically said, well, we only said we were putting things on HBO Max the same day in 2021. But Matrix 4 isn't out until 2022, January, whatever. Now I know they're going for their Christmas big push.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saddened that maybe two of the biggest non-Marvel movies, let's say, in the last 2 years, possibly the last 2 years and the next 1 year, in a 3-year span, I think Dune and Matrix 4 are going to be gigantic. And they're going to be streaming service day and date with theaters. Like, I know I ranted about this last week, but this is just an extra kicking sand in my face. And I can see the commenters agree.
Yeah, coming out the same day everywhere. My thing is that I looked this up. Dune was meant to be released in 2020.
Originally, yeah.
Yeah, which is where this whole, like, all of our stuff in 2021 is going to be, like, both on HBO Max and things. And it's just like, just because the lockdown and the pandemic and stuff like that happened doesn't mean that you should take advantage of the fact that your big ass movies were meant to be in. Like maybe Matrix was always meant to be released in 2021. That is fine. I don't like the idea that it is released on both platforms, but if it was intended to be released in 21, then everybody a part of it definitely knew what was going on. Dune, on the other hand, was meant to be released in 2020, would probably have a massive fucking theater release, and only because of a technicality, it's now getting released on HBO Max as well as theaters.
Yeah, but
So.
like they could have pushed Dune till next year. They can also roll back their stance that everything's coming to HBO Max. You know, it's not as legally binding as it sounds. They could have
Yeah.
reneged on it in specific cases. There's all sorts of options here. It's just look at that date. They put a date at the end of this trailer. It is weeks, literal weeks. 2 weeks and 3 days away from kicking around to January 1st of 2022. It makes me believe that HBO or HBO Max is going to get day and date for everything for quite a long time. That's all right. I didn't knock it, at least. There was a glitch in your matrix over there, Paul. I'm now trying to make up for the fact that I missed that obvious gag earlier. Irish, I think you got in there earlier with it. By the way, that's comment to the show. No matter what anybody else says now, that was the fastest gun in the West. Yeah, I think everybody knows what I'm saying. Paul, I'll get over it. We can't get HBO Max here anyway, so we're going to the theater.
Yeah.
Why should we care? Well, we should care because of movies. I was about to start cursing, and I know if there are kids listening, cursing's bad. Don't do it unless you really have to, and you never really have to. But
Oops.
exactly. But completely F them for the idea that they're not actually supporting theaters and getting back to the idea that stuff of this magnitude. Ask anybody in the comments. Ask anybody in the comments and anybody else's YouTube channel. If you're going to go back to the cinema for a movie, what type of movie is it going to be? Massive, epic, world-building stuff. Maybe set in sand with gigantic sand monsters. Worms. Whatever. Even people who don't know nothing about Dune would be going to the cinema to see it. Because it's Lord of the Rings level stuff.
Yeah.
Matrix is I started off the show talking about it in the same way as Star Wars and Jaws, for crying out loud. You put that in theaters only for at least a month. What the ever-loving Scooby-Doo. You say words before I say words that we cannot delete.
Patrick is so nice. Like, he's been so nice and diligent. I won't go to the extreme words that I definitely would usually go to. But this is a big kick in the teeth in the theaters kind of thing. They can just roll it back and just be like, well, these movies weren't meant to be released in 2021, so we're going to have theater releases and stuff like that. But it's just because it's cheaper. It's cheaper for them.
They want to get their HBO Max subscribers up. They're in the big fight with Disney, etc. And don't get me wrong, this is great. Long term, do I think they'll make more money this way? I actually don't. Do their projections show that they will? Maybe. But even if it is that, I think they'd make more money now doing it the way that we're suggesting, or at least I'm suggesting. But jeepers creepers, if it's not insulting to the idea of theaters, just theater owners, can you imagine owning a physical cinema right now, going, cool, I'm going to get Peter Rabbit 2, and I'm going to get Martin Scorsese's, The Card Counter. I'm going to get, kids' films and some cerebral films that people aren't comfortable leaving their homes right now, may not stretch to go and to see. But the thing that practically broke the internet just when the internet was starting, The Matrix, one of our largest markets, the US, is going to be able to get this on HBO Max that day. And Lana Wachowski, I'm sure she's not thinking, I made my epic world-bending kind of resurrection of the idea of what's real, what's the Matrix, multi-layered universal idea. I'd like you to watch that on a 32-inch flat screen in a bedroom somewhere.
Yeah.
Grr.
Yeah.
Turn it around, Paul, because I'm just going to end up ranting more. It looks pretty. There's pretty colours.
We are looking forward to the Matrix 4, which it will be an interesting kind of revitalization of the Matrix franchise. which goes, does resurrection mean the resurrection of Trinity or Neo or
The Matrix.
multitudes of of many people, kind of thing. Um, is this actually far flung into the future? Is this like 60 years into the future kind of thing, and this is just a new iteration of the Matrix emerging, kind of thing. We have plenty of theories, which is so ask us more if you want on our socials, and you can find them down below us. Which good. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. If you have any fan theories or anything like that of the Matrix, please let us know. We'd probably be reading them in the comments, and let us. Which guess we'll probably definitely discuss our ones, and definitely kind of like poke holes in your ones and stuff like that, so we can get cool discussions going on. But yeah, do you think that the machines are definitely letting people out if they want to, or are they trying to force them back in? Do you think that some humans are helping the machines keep people in? Is this a new iteration of the Matrix? Is there a clone of Neo, Trinity, and stuff like that? Yeah, let us know in the comments and social media as well.
And I'm not going to add anything to that other than to say, from a housekeeping point of view, I'm stealing a trick from another podcast I listen to called Sniff and Smith. It's all about cars. At the end of that, one of the hosts says, we have a few bit of housekeeping things to take care of. First thing is, we're here out. Please follow and join. Second thing is, Paul's got something else going on the internet. It's a little old D&D show called Homebrew Quest. So Homebrew Quest, proper search term for YouTube, Paul? It's
Homebrew Quest, yeah.
Where Paul and some friends do some... actually, sorry, I'll switch us back to the big screen. Where Paul and some friends do some D&D with a twist. D&D with an Irish twist. So it's all based on Hibernia, which, for all of you that aren't from Ireland, is a bit Irishy. But it's also based on alcohol, which, for all of you who aren't Irish, is a bit Irishy also. We have a very close link.
I think we just got taken down because of stream violations.
Wow. 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 Huh. Well, what do we do with that? I wonder if we can still be seen or heard when it decides temporarily blocked because we detected copyright audio or video. There is no audio, so it was just parts of the trailer. Played too much of the trailer, left it playing. Oh, dear God. I don't know what option we have next. Yeah, I'll get in there. I'm just going to say, we're doing anything wrong, as this is fair use and we'll know better next time. I think that's it. I think we're not going to get to go back up live.
Oh well.
Oh wait, we are.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, it looks like we're back. So for anybody who's stayed listening, we're back. YouTube suspended us for a moment, saying that we were showing copyrighted material. We'll know better for next time. We really do, and I see a comment there saying, yeah, we do our best to follow all the rules. We really, really do. We'll try and be more careful in future. I don't know what happened, if maybe something played out of that trailer before I switched screen, or it caught something on a stream. But we'll do better. You've all been very patient. We've now run to full time. We were about to finish early. I was saying go and check out Paul with Homebrew Quest. Also, in other trivia, did you know polar bear skin's actually black? And if you would like to know how to YouTube or to violate YouTube's terms of service, join us next week when we're going to try something else completely new. And you just have to join us and wait and see if that's something that YouTube hates. In the meantime, thank you millions and millions of times to our live listeners, to all you future folks. Sorry for that glitch in the Matrix. If you watched all the way to the end, you get a virtual hug from us. And with that said, Paul, I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been in the Matrix, folks.
Confused and irritated.
We'll see you soon. All right, I'm going to try and hit all the buttons to close it down now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.